Good morning, everyone. We are here. We are ready to go, and we are going to make this because we are going to take a stand. I always have to look to see what it's called because I want to say stand for something. I don't know. It just stuck in my brain. All right, so this is the bag we're going to make today. And this is the one that has, do you know if this one's gone out yet? The Running with Scissors?
It goes out March 1st.
Okay, this goes out March 1st, she says. Nicole's behind the camera. She knows so much more than me. This we already taped. It's already
Oh, look at
filmed in the
Tina.
bucket.
She's showing you both her patterns.
Oh, there you go. And this one, will you come down here, Nicole? So this is the Take a Stand, the small one, by the way. And this fits over it to put all your tools in. So you got a double tool thing there. You carry all your tools in this, and you can put stuff in this and carry it too. So in case you missed that or didn't know it was coming up, that one has been filmed. It's already in the books. So, and this is the one we're going to do today. Now, as you can guess, this is like a 15-hour project. So I have much of it already finished this morning. So, but I'm going to walk through every single step on the pattern so that you know what we're doing. Yeah. So is the small one is plenty big enough? Yeah, it is. It's pretty darn big. This is big. They say that the bigger one, I haven't made the bigger one. They said that that one would fit a small sewing machine. So that would be the difference. But with this one doesn't look small, but that's what they call it. It's the small one. So there you have it. All right, is everybody kind of ready to go? I know that some of you have already made it, right? Someone said that they had already done it. If you haven't done it, that's great, because we're going to go through everything, and there might be, yeah, there you got it. Oh, I'm watching Nicole browse through the website to pull it up. There are some things I do want to go over. When you first get, if you get any zipper by the foot, you will get, most of the time, many of the times, the zipper heads will already be on. If they are not on, like the By Annie's, do not come with the zipper heads on the zipper. When you first take it out, put all those zipper heads on. This is what I've done. Just put them on there, get them out of the way. So then you don't lose them. If you want to take them off, you can always take them off. If you want to change out for different colors, you can always change out for different colors. You don't have to have the same zipper head with the zipper. They don't have to be the same color. In fact, I love them when they're not the same color. But they do have to be the same brand. So I'm going to talk to you about how to put those zipper heads on. Because this I love. Should we do that now? Yeah, let's do that now. All right. Oh, I do want to mention too, when you get your By Annie zippers out and you get them all on, get them all threaded on, both ends will look like this. Both ends of the zipper tape will look like this. So when you start cutting zippers off, leave one end that stays looking like this. Don't change it. Don't cut from both ends. Always cut from the same end you start cutting it, because then you have this nice raw edge here. But this one is important because you will need it to put more zipper heads on, and I'll show you how that happens. All right, my favorite thing in the world to do. What did I do with it? Okay, I must have threw it back over here. All right, so this is my favorite thing. I've taken all my zippers off. My zipper heads are off. Okay, this is the side that has the open part where you got the zipper teeth don't start for about an inch in. This is one side. The other side will look just like this when you first get it. But after you start cutting off, this is what you have to do. See how I trimmed back my zipper teeth on one end? I just trimmed back my zipper teeth. That way, I can get this one on. But don't worry, if you have two like this, you can still get all the zippers on. Don't even worry about it. But if you have a flat zipper and this, you need to get a zipper back on, and this works with any zipper in the world. You don't need to get a fork. You don't need to get a special zipper attacher. This is how easy it is. And if you have a dress where the zipper is broken, this is how easy it is to fix. You just trim back some of the teeth, and I would rather have those even at the top, but it really doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my rounded end of my zipper, I'm going to slide it on the teeth that are there, and then I'm going to slide in the teeth that I trimmed off. okay? And I'm gonna hold both of those together and it's fixed, okay? Was that easy? Did everybody get that? Do you want me to do it again? Does anybody need that again? I'm gonna do it again anyway. There you go. Okay, and any zipper that's broken, any brand. The only deal is that you have to have the same brand of zipper head to go on the zipper tape. You can't interchange zipper heads on different brands. They have to be the same brand. Okay, so you trim back the teeth, so you just have tape. Now, sometimes I would think, now, do you trim back the teeth or the tape? But it's the teeth you trim back. And you're gonna do the rounded part, slide it on, so that you have it on the teeth, slide the teeth in there. And the reason why you trim the teeth back is you need to have something to hang on to up here. And you put it on. That's how easy that is. Now, here's the fun part. You can also put on the square end of the zipper. Now, this one is done a little differently because I need to have both zipper tapes just like this. So all I do is put my zipper on the square, kind of push it down a little bit, and then go like that. And now both heads are on my zipper. So whether you have to go on whichever direction you need to go on, it's going to work. I'll do that one again. This is with the little ends where both teeth are gone, and this is the one that it comes with like this. Then you slide on the square end and you make sure you get the zipper tape in there. Kind of push it down. You'll feel a little click. You know you've done it. And then just pull on those. And there it is. Okay, that's our zipper demo. All right, now in this project especially, and a lot of Bianni projects, you will find that she uses this fold over elastic. Know that when you get it out of the package, it's all rolled up. Before you ever even cut it out, get it out, let it sit overnight, and let it relax, and then cut it out. Because it's wrapped pretty tight around in that little ball that they put in the package. So if you cut it before you let it relax, you might have it too short. Okay, so there is that. All right, now I want to go into telling you how you make the zipper pulls. And this is not until the very end of the pattern, but we're going to tackle it right now. So this is the zipper pull. And you can see that you cut a 1-inch wide piece of fabric. And what she wants you to do is, like you would like a bag handle, first you'll fold it in half and press it. And then you'll fold to the center, the raw edges to the center and press it. And then you fold over and press it. Well, this is a tiny little piece of fabric. It's just a 1-inch piece. I tell you, there's not another way to do it but this. Take your 1-inch piece of fabric, cut it on an angle like that, and feed it into a number 12 bias tape maker. And this is by Clover. These are wonderful. I have every size because you never know if you're going to need them, right? All right, so I just poke that in there, and I use a pin to feed it through. And then I go to my iron. All right, so what happens is when you pull it out and you feed it through the iron, it's going to fold those edges over and you're going to iron it down. The nice thing about it is it does that first step for you. What's that?
What is the width of the piece?
The piece is 1 inch wide. Oh, so Alice, you watched the demo on the zipper. Isn't that great? Don't you love that zipper? I love it. All right, so on this one, it's going to fold it over, and then all you have to do is go back to the iron. Once you've got it all folded and pressed, fold it over in half, then it's done, and you just stitch right down the center. So then you have your piece already finished. So much easier than having to do that by hand. Let me see if this iron is heating up. It is not. That's going to be an issue here in a minute. I can feel some heat coming, so let me see if that's going to work. I have a stubborn iron this morning. Someone was saying how cold it is where they are. We got like a 1/2 inch last night. Not very much. And we were supposed to get windstorms. We didn't get really windstorms.
It was blowing so bad at my house, I couldn't sleep last night and the night
Really?
before.
Not us.
And then we got a little bit of snow, but it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like 14 degrees.
Oh, I think it was 7 when I got up this morning. All right, so I'm not going to do the whole thing because my iron's really not participating well with me, but you can see how it folds it in. And then all I have to do is fold it over. This is finally getting warm, and press it. And when I've done that, all I have to do is take a stitch, just one stitch down the center. It doesn't even matter because no matter where you stitch on this, it's going to catch all the fabric. That just makes that part so much easier. Okay, let me go on to the next part that I want to demo. All right, now this part is the straps. So you've got, you're going to get 242 by, I think they're 3 by 42. And you're going to sew them together, and you've got one really big, long length of fabric, right? It'll tell you to cut off, I think, 14 inches for each one of your tabs like this. But I'm going to show you an easy way to do this. And I know that she's suggested a couple of ways, but here's another one in case you want to know it. What I have is I have a piece of ribbon that I did. This is all I use it for. This is it. And I just kind of keep it rolled up on my board up there. And what I'm going to do, so if this were my strap fabric, I'm going to put it right up there in the fold. And I'm going to do it for you so you can see how easy this is. And I don't remember where I learned this, but I thought, I love this. Got my needle in the left hand or right hand position. And I just sew across the top. Now that means you're going to lose a little bit of length on your strap, but most of the time that is really not going to matter. And I just sew down the side. I keep that ribbon out of my sewing zone. I want to keep it right over at the fold. And I'm going to stitch across it one more time just so I don't lose it today. And what do you know, my thread came out. That happens to me a lot. If you've taken classes from me, I always gun it, which makes my thread come out. I just want to make sure that that ribbon is really attached up there. And now, even though the strap does not say to lose that little 1/4 inch up there, I'm going to still lose it. And then all I do is just pull it through like this, just pulling on my ribbon. And I like to use the grosgrain ribbon because it's a little stronger, doesn't fray as much. And there you go. And then all I do is cut that point off. I have not lost a lot, and yet I have saved myself a lot of work. And then to put it in there, actually, before I even turn it, she tells you to press that seam open. Really do that. Even though you've got your ribbon inside, press the seam open. It makes it lay so much flatter. And then I will get my hemostats. And in order to put that, as you can see, I've used this to demo before. Got my hand right there. All I do is put my hemostats in and grab this. Now remember, press your seam open because your seam is going to be on the back. And I just slide that in, and that's how easy that is. And on your strap, she will tell you to, it will tell you to turn your straps inside. And this is really important because this is going to show. So you're going to turn it inside about 1/4 to 1/2 inch there and press it well. And then you're going to top stitch down all the sides. But this seam is in the back. Make sure it's in the back because you don't want that to show. And then you're going to top stitch all the way down both sides and along the short ends. So that will be your straps. And pretty much the same thing you're gonna do with your tabs. The only difference is I did not turn these edges in. Only on the strap did I turn the edges in. But we will talk about that when we get to that point. Actually, she's gonna have you do that almost first. I'm gonna follow right along as she goes here so that we don't get too lost and that we cover everything. So the first thing on page 2, you're going to make your bias binding. And of course, it's much larger than this because first of all, you have cut all your fabric out. You've quilted your fabric, you cut everything out, and you have used these little labels on everything and you pinned it to it. Don't forget to put your labels on. And I would make an extra copy. Don't cut your pattern up, but get your labels on.
Oh, you've seen such the carry case.
Yeah, they are. I love these. They're serrated and I love it. It's kind of like my stiletto by Annie. It is kind of textured on the end, so the scissors are textured. They don't lose anything. You can grab fabric with this and it cuts. I love these scissors. All right, so make sure that you copy that page out of your pattern and cut everything out before you even start. Don't even start till everything is cut out and you know what you're going to do with it. And keep these labels on it. Then when you take the label off, put it in a little baggie because you're going to make this bag again, right? Your sisters are going to want it, your friends are going to want it, and your daughter's going to want it. And you might want 2 of them, right? I like how you smile, Mary Jo. Thank you. All right, so you've got a much larger piece of fabric for your bias binding, but I'm going to show you how to do it on this one. So what you're going to do is cut it from end to end like this, point to point. And then look at her picture. This is how she has this. Her pictures are wonderful. If all you did was look at her pictures, you pretty much know what to do, right? All right, so I'm going to actually do this so you can kind of see how it's done. I am going to put these together like this. I'm going to let my points overhang just a little bit. Put a few pins in here. And then I'm going to press my seam open. And for some reason, it didn't sew right there. So I'm going to sew that part again. All right, because you have such a large piece, yours is really big. I think it's like 18 inches square. I could be on the other pattern right now. It's almost too big to get your ruler. You can't, your ruler won't go that length of it. And what you want is strips that go like this all the way along. So just fold this piece up and this piece over. Then you can cut your 2.5 inch strips, or I think hers are 2 1/4. So you're just going to cut your 2 1/4 inch strips, just like that. And it might get to the point where, see, that one's a little floppy, so I'm just going to open that up. Because I want to make sure it's cut straight. And then you will just take these pieces and you'll match them together like this and sew them across and open that seam. And then you're ready, it's done. And then you'll have a big long piece just like this. And then after you get them all sewn together, you know, fold them over and press them so that they're in half. And then you've got this all prepared and ready to go when you're ready to use it. And that will come in because we're going to be using that today. All right, any questions on that? I don't want to leave anybody hanging. All right, I think the first thing we're gonna do is the straps. All right, so the strap, I already sewed it together, cut my 14 inches off for my tabs, and that was the first thing that we did. And then you're gonna sew right across here after you put your D-ring in. You're gonna sew across the bottom. That just kind of holds it together because we're gonna put that on the bag a little later. And then right up here at the top, I just sewed right across. She asked you to put a mark about 1 inch down from the D-ring and just sew across. And then you can set these aside. They're ready to go when you need them later on. All right, but let's talk about this strap. I believe it's 53 inches long, and you pull your webbing into it, and it's a little shorter, so you have plenty of room to turn your ends in, fold it inside, and then top stitch everything down. So you have one big long strap. I'm going to take it out of here. And I have to tell you that this process took me a while to figure out, and her pictures did me no good. I had to go get a camera bag and see, how do you put that thing together? All right, the one end, you're just going to put one of your swivel clips. And the nice thing about this, it's a swivel clip. It won't matter how you put it in. The important thing is that you have the seam on the inside. So you loop it through your swivel hip, swivel, what, how do you say that? Swivel clip. All right, you're going to put that through there, and then you're going to sew a box and put an X in your box. This is where all of the strength needs to be. So that's why you're putting that X in there. Okay? All right, let's get to the other end. And really, I apologize, but her pictures really didn't help me much. I mean, I've never seen pictures that did. So I really had to get that camera bag out. If you ever have questions, get your camera bag out. You'll understand. All right, so I put my guy on there, got my leather swivel clip on there. The next thing I'm going to do, now actually I'm going to put this on first.
Mary Jo says, thumbs up.
I need you to keep me in line, Mary Jo. All right, so here I have, I don't know what they call this, a slider. All right, so here's my slider. And mine has a little where it joins on the back. I want that to be my back. So I'm going to, here I've got my fabric. Let me get this in the right lane here. Is it better with the white behind it? Yeah, I think so. Hey, Mary Jo, you keep me in line, okay?
Don't let her sew the bag closed.
No, I don't think we will on this one. So I'm going to put it up through the left-hand side and down through the right-hand side.
You know, we just had to teach you.
Oh, definitely. I do things like that. I do it at home too. It's just one of those things.
Me too.
All right, so I've got it through here. And my little guy is inside there. Okay, y'all with me? Get that camera back strap out. All right, now I'm going to put my swivel clip on. And I want a big loop here, by the way. And I'm not going to attach it to my swivel clip because my swivel clip is going to be like, let's go this side. It's just going to be hanging out here, okay? It is not attached on that side because this is how you're going to make it longer or shorter, okay? And it is going to look like this when you're finished. And we're going to do that right now. All right, so I have it. My loop through there. I took it up through the left and down through the right, and I put my swivel clip on the end. Now I'm going to take the end back, and I'm going to go back up where I was on the left. And I'm going to take it back down through the right. So I'm following the same path that I did before. And once I do that, I don't want to have too much in there because I don't want to take out the length of my strap. So only pull out what you can easily sew on your machine. Okay, now I've got it in there. So what I want to do is that I want to stitch my little box right there. And when I finish with that, I will pull that down. It's ready to go and slide. All right. Is that as clear as mud? Alice has got it. You know, I don't want you to say, oh, I don't get it. I mean, because I told you, this took me forever to figure out, even with pictures and when people explain it to me, I had to see it, then I had to do it. All right, so what I did is I took my length of my strap, put it in through the left-hand side of my slider, up through the right-hand side, came down and got my swivel clip on it, just looped it on, then took it back up through my left-hand side, down through my right-hand side, and then notice right here, this is where my seam is. So it all works out pretty nice. What do you have inside the strap? I have webbing.
Oh, there you go. I forgot the name. I started typing.
Yep, it's webbing. This one I already put it in. Let me pull it out. And this one I just happen to have a colored webbing to do this demo. And I believe in this one I had it's a white webbing, and it was more of this is a polyester slicker. This one was a cotton. It really doesn't matter as long as you've got something strong that you can pull through, because it just gives it that extra body in your strap, and you'll really be glad you have it in there. All right, so I'm going to set my strap aside unless somebody wants me to do that again. You can use any kind of strap for you that you want. Okay, prepare the end strap. And I have already put mine with the part that it's going to go with. So that is this piece right here. And this is going to be the end strap. I think it's so nice to figure out where all these pieces go. So this is the end strap she's talking about. This right here. Open it up. Right here. This is the end strap we're talking about right there. And that's just so you can tuck your zipper down in it when you're not using it or whatever you want to do, or if you want to hang on to it that way. That's what end strap they're talking about right there. And all you do is sew it together. You don't have to poke the sides in because they're going to be in the seam, and just top stitch it. And I have also marked mine for the later part that we're going to do, but we'll get to that in a little bit later. All right. Okay, prepare pockets A and B, and these are out of your quilted fabric. And I've already prepared one of them. And here is the second one. This one we're going to do together, because I think that will make it easier on this one. All right, this one has a binding for the top of the zipper. So on this one, you put the zipper in and you bind the top of the zipper. And I thought, we're going to do this one. You'll easily see how that is done. Oh, by the way, I don't want you to forget, after you cut out your quilted pieces, and whether you quilt them on the long arm, however you decide to quilt them, make sure after you cut them all out that you seal all of the edges. Just seal those edges down. Whenever you work with soft and with shape, which one is it? Is soft and stable? Don't get those two mixed up. Whenever you work with soft and stable, you want to seal the edges no matter what, because the fabric won't play as well as the foam does. And when you're working with foam, you'll get a pucker. You don't really want a pucker. So make sure you go around and seal all the edges. All right, for the three pieces for this part of the bag, we have this facing. And remember, you've got yours labeled and you already have your inner facing ironed on the back. We're going to put this one on here. We're going to put our zipper in and we're going to bind the top of our zipper. All right, before we even get into sewing on this big heavy stuff, change your needle. Get a new needle in there. I did one of these bags in one of the classes and I did not put a new needle in. In fact, I didn't have any good needles here. And I thought, I'm not doing that again. So I went and I now got some 9014 top stitch needles in the drawer here. So whenever I need it, they're going to be there. So a 9014 top stitch needle is really the best. It's really sharp. It will slide through your fabric nicely. And I always through the whole project, I'm going to be in a left-hand needle position. And the reason being is when the needle is coming down through the fabric, if you've got a dull needle, if you're in the right-hand position, it has so much fabric to go through when it's trying to go through, and it's just a slight hesitation, one that you won't even see. By the time it gets down there, the bobbin has already gone. And you will have a skip stitch. You'll just have one loop, probably it'll catch the next one, but then you'll be getting skip stitches. And you don't want that. So put your needle in the left-hand position. So when the bobbin comes around, it has a better chance of catching that needle. And that's what you want. You want to have a nice, beautiful stitch. And a brand new needle is going to make a difference. In fact, in one class, I think I broke 2 needles trying to dip through some of this fabric. There is so much fabric that we're going to be sewing through. Very thick, thick fabric. And you don't want that. All right. Enough said, you got to have good needles. All right, let's go to, we're on page number 4. We are going to be at the top of that page. I have already marked my fabric right here. I've got my marking right here. I'm going to take my facing. I'm going to put it wrong side down, right along that marking. And I'm going to stitch right there. Then I'm going to press it up and I'm going to restitch around there to seal those edges again. Okay? It's too bad that the machine doesn't make a really beautiful, well, you know, it's got a sewing machine sound, right? Why doesn't it play music while it sews? Can it? Is it possible?
I think it's white noise and it's lovely.
Is it? I love it at my house when the furnace comes on. I love it because I can hear it. Because the furnace is near my bedroom and I just love it. Okay, I'm in the left-hand needle position. So I kind of have to eyeball where my 1/4 inch stitch is going to be, because I don't have the side of my foot to watch. All right, I'm going to press that up. And you know, you can put any combination of fabrics wherever you want them to be. All right, now I'm going to just seal those edges again. And the sealing, I'm just going to do like an 1/8 to a 16th off the edge. It really doesn't even matter, just to hold those fabrics together. And even though this seems like a lot of stitching that you have to do, it really makes a difference when you're trying to work with it. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, and by the way, I did not top stitch down here. If you want to, you certainly can. I don't think she recommends that you do it. I mean, I didn't do it, so you can do what you'd like. It's yours. All right, here's my zipper. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my zipper face down. And I really like to have longer zippers. This one is a little short for me, but I cut it off myself, darn. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a generous 1/4 inch stitch along here. But the key to this part is you want to have the zipper overhang the fabric by about an 1/8 to a 16th. Right there. So as you stitch it down, and the reason you're going to do that is because when you fold the zipper back up, it's going to encase that raw edge. And you can see that right here. It encases it right up. You don't have any raw edges or strings or threads hanging out. And that for me was a little hard to do, hard to remember to do, because I'm used to putting my zippers right up against them. But this zipper is so wide, you really don't need it to be. It's going to be okay. And I've got my zipper a little longer than my project, so I can have a little bit hanging out on both sides. Just remember to let that zipper hang over. And yep, I'm still in my left-hand needle position. I'll probably stay there for the rest of the steps. When I get to my zipper head, I'm just going to turn my fabric and slide that zipper out of my way. Don't slide it off the end. Of course, you know what to do if you do, right? Nicole, what? Because I'm not using a zipper foot because this is such a wide zipper that I really don't need to. I've got plenty of room there to work. Okay, now I'm just going to press this slightly. You don't really have to do the pressing step. But another part that we have to do here that's different than what I have normally done is that you're gonna sew from the back. Normally, when I put a zipper in, I turn my zipper over and I top stitch right along here on the front, but we're not going to on this one. We're gonna do it from the back. You're gonna lay the zipper tape flat down and you're going to just top stitch along the edge of that zipper, along the left-hand edge where it goes over the fabric. And this is going to make it, and you think, well, it's going to be ugly on the front. It's really not. Because you are encasing all of that fabric underneath that zipper tape. And the thread that you're using is going to show on the front that you have in the bobbin. So if you don't like that color in your bobbin, then you need to change it out. And you want to make sure you get that nice and flat with your hands. And if you want to move that zipper head out of the way again, then you can do that. I just really like how flat it makes it. And you know, Alice, I don't really use a zipper foot when I put zippers in, even normal. I just am not a zipper foot person. I tried to learn how to do it, felt that way. All right, now we're going to just find the top of the zipper. And then this pocket is done. We have got a lot done already. All right, to do this, I'm going to put this on the back and bring it to the front, because I want my pretty side to be on the front. And this time I don't have to worry about, I mean, I'm going to put it flush. I don't have to worry about it being encased in, because it's already going to be encased. But I want to do a generous 1/4 inch, because you want these to match. So right now your edges are going to be even, unlike what we did before. I'm getting to my zipper head. I'm going to move it out of the way. All right, now I'm just going to bring it around to the front. I'm going to get that little press. I always like the way it lays a little better when it's just pressed a little bit. So I realize this is going to be a really boring day for everybody there, because they're just watching me sew, right? It's going to be so boring. All right, I'm just going to bring that to the front. And of course, my thread, if you want to change your thread, then this is the place to change it. And you don't have a lot of fabric you're sewing through, so you can depend on where you want to sew along there. You can have different, I can't sew on top at the same time. I'm just going to do a top stitch right here. I love these big zippers though. Okay, while I'm over here, I am going to sew zipper stops on my zipper so it doesn't go off. I'm just going to go over the zipper teeth a few times. And I'd probably do that part just a little slower, because you want that needle to slide around the nylon zipper. You don't want it to catch on it and break. My stiletto there. And then the directions will tell you to trim this down to 7 inches. And the reason that I didn't have you trim it sooner than this is because everybody's going to put a zipper in a little bit differently. So yours might be a little wider than mine, yours might be a little more narrow than mine, but you want to have this trimmed to 7 inches. And then once again, I'm going to have to seal that bottom because I have cut away where the zipper was. All right, I can set these to aside. I'm finished with those. All right, the next thing we're going to do is the mesh zipper or the mesh pockets. All right, when you're working with mesh, I've got a lot of stuff sitting around here. Mesh is really fun to work with. It's different, so you have to be careful. I've already got my binding on that one. So all I have to do is put the binding on this part. And I'm going to change my thread out because I have red fold over elastic and I want to have the same color thread in it. I don't want to have a white thread there. So I am going to change out my threads. Isn't it great that it's so easy to do? Okay, and by the way, after you finish sewing one of these projects, you probably need to clean out your needle space because there's a lot of stuff that's going, a lot of lint and stuff that's going down inside there. Okay, so now I'm ready to put on my fold over elastic. And you can see that it's about the same size. So you don't have a lot of wiggle room when you put this on. It's about the same size as your mesh. But when you go to put your mesh on your bag, you're going to have extra room. So don't worry too much about it because you will be cutting some off. So all I'm going to do in the fold over elastic, there's a little, you can see that little channel right there. You're just going to fold it over. You can either have the shiny side out or the dull side out. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you. And that's all we're going to do there. And I don't pin this because you really can't pin the mesh, but it works out. So just have some faith there. Have you worked with fold over elastic before? Oh, I see some shaking of heads. That's great. I love it. This is also the same material they would make like little babies' headbands. Is it so soft? And I'm just going to work as I go. Just going to work that in there. I want to keep my mesh right up to the fold, and I'll just fold it over as I go. And I try hard not to stretch the elastic. I just want to fold it over. But the mesh has a little bit of give in it. The elastic will have a little bit of give in it. So when you put it on, it's really pretty cool. I'm only working about 1.5 inches out as I go. Okay. There I am. I'm not going to trim that off until I'm ready to put it in. All right, now we are going to go down to do the sides. All right, this is another fun part. They're all fun, right? I'm just looking at you. It's so fun to look at you guys. Okay, so on the one pocket, I have bound both edges of the sides of the bag, and we've already bound, so you kind of know how to do that. And we will sew it to the back, bring it to the front, so you got your top stitching on the front. The next part we're going to do is we're going to put this side strap on one of the ends, and it doesn't matter which end you decide to put it on, but you're going to measure 1 inch down from the top and mark a line. And then this is going to go right butt up to the line. I have also marked, I believe it's 1.5 inches in on, yeah, it's 1.5 inches in on my strap here. I put a mark there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to sew over to that mark, across and back. Over here, over to that mark, across and back. Now you think, well, they're about the same size, but once you get this in your bag, that's going to poke out a little bit. And as your bag pokes in, this pokes out more. So you still need that, even though they're about the same size, you don't understand why you have to do that. That's going to be a little thing to just in case that zipper in. Okay, that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, I'm going to sew over and back. Now I'm not going to do any little boxes or anything. I'm just simply going to do sew it over and sew it back. Over and across and back. Oh, I need to change my thread out. I've got red thread in there. So today's not Friday, but it's close. Would this be Friday Eve? It could be. It's a Thursday.
I don't think it counts as my Friday because I work Saturday.
Oh, that's right. You got a big event this weekend. Okay, I've got my cream thread back in. And I just want to follow the last stitching that I did when I top stitched it. I'm going to go over to my marked line. And I just have that mark, that 1 inch marked line on the top. I've lined this up with the top edge of that, the top of this up with that mark. I'm going to give it a little press to get rid of my marks. Okay. All right, I got that part done. Yippee, that is done. All right, the next part is kind of fun, I thought. It's a little scary, but she wants you to have a 2.5 inch circular object. This was my 2.5 inch, it's just a lid that I have. And all I did was line it up at the bottom, and I did my mark on all 4 corners of my bottoms, just on these. When you look at the bag, you can see that it is shaped down here, but you know, you almost think that this part is the one that was shaped, but it's not. It's this part in here that's doing the shaping. So I marked my line, and then I sew inside that line. Actually, let me show you what I mean by 2.5 inches. So when you have a 2.5 inch circle like this, that means that if you line it up in the corner of something right here, then it's 2.5 inches to the point where it starts going off the circle. That's what that means, all right? So you're 2.5 inches in the corner, off the corner, 2.5 inches where it starts diverting off that plane. So that says a 2.5 inch. It took me a while to find something that was that size. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is that I sewed just inside that mark. So just like an 1/8 inch side inside that curved mark that I put on there. And I'm gonna cut on the marking. Oh, I love these scissors.
They work really good for collage.
Do they?
Yes.
I think they work on anything.
Especially tiny pieces.
Oh, I'll bet, tiny pieces. All right. Now the bag is starting to take shape. All right, I have my ends done. Let's go to the next page. We're on page number 5. Now we're going to do the placement lines on our bag. All right, this is where it really starts to get fun, by the way. But the important part is to just kind of watch out what you're doing. Here's the main side of my fabric. I have already marked 8.5 inches down and made a mark. And then I have marked in a 1-inch mark on this corner and on that corner. And as you can probably guess, that's where this is going to go. And that's why you have to have this. They're going to be on opposite sides. They're going to go like that. Because that makes the strap go from the front to the back. All right, so you can put those markings on and then flip it over on the lining side, and you're going to do 2.5 inches down from the top and the bottom, make a mark, and another one at 8.5 inches down. And I even went a step further. I think it's further in the pattern, but let me show you the other marking that I made. Right, it's actually on page 6, but I went ahead and did this marking while I was here, and that is 5/8 of an inch down here on every corner, 5/8 of an inch down, a 1-inch mark. I went ahead and did those just while I was marking. You can wait until later if you want. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put these carrying straps on. So this is my lining side, 8.5 inches down here. And this one was 2.5 inches right up here. Then I have 5/8 of an inch in and a 1-inch mark there. And that will come into play when we're putting the sides on, but I just wanted to get my mark. Also, you'll notice a line right here. This is the line I put in for section C when I put the mesh pockets on, because you're going to divide those mesh pockets and you cannot mark on mesh, but you can mark on this. So I did my markings already for that. You don't have to because it's not important right now, but I wanted to get mine done. Okay, we're going to go to the outside fabric. Was someone in this class, were they the one that gave us the science on the gel pen? Were you in that class with me, Nicole? All right,
Sweet and simple.
was it? Okay. So the gel pen, because I told them that sometimes the marking, the gel pen does not come out. And it's a little frustrating when you get this all done. And you can see right, you probably can't see, but I mismarked right here. I measured wrong and I put a marking in there. I can still see that. And someone looked it up and they said, oh, I know what that does. It's a gel pen. Actually, it's just a gel pen that will iron out. But when it gets cold, it might come back. But they said that actually that marking would wash out if I washed my bag, but I didn't. But I do have a little faint mark right there. It almost looks like it takes the color out of the bag, but they said it will wash away. Okay, we are now attaching the carrying strap tabs. Now on my notes here, I said to sew up a 1/4 inch higher because it didn't encase it enough for me. But you can do it how you want. So what I'm going to do right here is that I'm going to line my tab up with that 8.5 inch line right there. And I'm going to sew up here 6 1/4 inches and sew back. So let's see what that is. I think that is. So all I'm going to do is sew right up to where I had sewn before. I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to sew up, across, and back down. And that's all. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to sew up and across and back down. I'm trying to understand what note. I put a note on here that it needs to be a 1/4 inch higher, but I don't see that that's really a big issue. Let me look on this. That looks like it's going to be okay. All right, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to just go, and you want to kind of keep these as on top of each other as best you can. But notice you're not gonna see anything except what pokes out the top. So don't worry too much about this. I've got a raw edge down there. Don't worry too much about it because I'm gonna put a pocket over the top. All right, I'm gonna sew those down. I wish you guys were sewing along with me. I really do.
You cannot keep up.
Well, that's because it's half done. It has to be. All right, I got my needle in the left-hand position. I keep saying that, and if you need a new needle, get a new needle out. It's okay. And I'm going to try to just stitch right down my previous stitching. And I'm going to sew along the bottom. But of course, none of this is going to show, which is nice. So is everybody going to take the Running with Scissors class 2? I mean, you have to have your companion pieces, right? You gotta have both. Do you like to sew bags, Nicole? I mean, I know you've sewn some. I just do not really enjoy that part, that process.
I like to create.
I do too. And I think bags intrigue me because they're different than anything else you sew. And I think they're more challenging than other projects that you do. I'm so glad I have a new needle. I can hear it trying to go through. I haven't skipped any stitches yet though. And it's so frustrating when you skip a stitch because you work so hard on that and you're doing your part and the darn machine's not doing it. And we just have to learn what it likes. Okay, now we're going to put the mesh on. So that means we're going to flip it to the inside. That's where our mesh goes. And we are going to line it up. It won't matter which one you put on which side. And see how much wider that is? I have plenty of room to work with. And it's more important to me that I want to put the prettiest side up. There's always a prettier side, isn't there? Okay, I want to make sure that my top is even. So I am going to pin this. Even though I'm not going to sew along the top, I think that's important to get that top nice and even with my line. When I go home from work sometimes, if I've had a big day at work, maybe a little bit of a rough day, I'll make my husband take me out to supper, to dinner. Do you call it supper or dinner, Nicole?
I think I call it dinner more.
I think I do too. But living on the farm, dinner was oftentimes the lunch meal. Well, it wasn't lunch, it was never lunch. It was come in for dinner because you'd be out working on the fields and I'd usually just be playing in the fields. So anyway, I'd make my husband take me out. It's an El Sol night or something.
Have you been to the charcoal grill on Main yet?
What is that?
They used to be in the golf course and now they've opened up just by the theater.
No, I haven't. Okay, now make sure that you sew across. I'm going to start up on one end and go across the side and then down the bottom. And this one, I'm not going to do a full 1/4 inch. I'm just going to just want to mostly just attach this. Because I'm going to be putting more stitches on there, so I don't need to. And I'm going to sew across the bottom of the tape, the fold over elastic. Nicole, do you like to sew clothing? I don't need it. I can buy it cheaper and it looks a lot better. Does anybody out there sew clothing at all? I mean, I love sergers, right? Everybody knows that, but I still do not sew clothing. I have a granddaughter who's using one of my sergers right now, and that's all she does is clothing. She is amazing.
Well, I told you about the pony skirts.
Mini skirts?
The pony skirts.
I don't know what you did.
So I watched my niece and she's 4.
Oh, yeah.
And I made the mistake of
Making
one
one.
pony a skirt and had to make every pony a skirt in every color.
All right, make sure you don't sew the top shut, okay? Mary Jo, are you watching me? I'm not sewing the top shut. Mary Jo has saved me on so many occasions. Now, even though I don't have matching red thread on this bottom here, that's okay with me. I'm not going to put red thread there. I'm just going to stitch this down. This is the inside of your bag. It doesn't matter. I mean, my cream thread right now is blending in nicely with this red. And that's only going to show on the bottom of this pocket. So I'm okay with that. I think the most important thing for you guys to see today is that it is possible to sew this bag. And it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay too. And if it makes you feel any better, I have seen bags that other people have done on this one. And theirs isn't perfect either. It's really okay. All right, now I'm going to sew my dividing line. Now, hers are probably not exactly how I'm going to do mine, but I've already made one. I kind of know what I want. So I have marked mine already, and I'm going to sew from the bottom. I'm going to sew up, turn around, and go back down. And over here, I'm going to sew from the bottom, turn around, and go back down. I thought you were going to show us something kind of fun there.
I am.
Okay, please do. The important part is just to keep this mesh flat while you sew on it. And turn around and go back down. And I would suggest right now to iron those markings out, but if you iron them out, you're going to lose the markings on the other side. So don't iron anything right now because you've got markings on both sides of this bag. And we're going to need the other ones. All right, now I'm going to trim my mesh off because I don't need that there anymore. Somebody's got to have a good story while we're sitting here sewing. Somebody's got to entertain me. We have the inside done. Isn't that great? Aren't you guys excited? So tell me, what have you learned today? Is there something that you need to know more about? Did you already show them your Laura Hines app?
Oh, I can put it on here.
Oh, you didn't?
I put the link in,
Oh,
but I can do.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put the outside pockets on. Now this one, we kind of have to, go ahead and do that, and I'll set this one up. So, Nicole's gonna show you how to keep picture. And I'll set the next part up.
Okay, so this one, this is the cow collage I did.
That is so cute. Is that a class that we have?
No, Jenny taught the pain cushions.
Okay, but it's the same idea.
Yep. And then this is, this is one of Laura Heine's pattern that we used to sell.
We don't
And
sell it
it's
anymore.
big blue. That's the other one.
And what is that? I can't
It's
tell.
an old truck hidden by flowers.
Well, I'd have to, maybe the picture's so small, I just can't see what it is. That's cute though.
That's what I was telling them that I use my Karen K. Buckley scissors on, because those collage quilts, because they
yeah,
work out so
sure.
well.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do next. My zipper has a little bit of a weight, and then I'm gonna straighten that out as I go. Okay, what we want to do on this is the outside of the bag, and so you can see my stitch in there, but it's not gonna show, because it's gonna be hidden somewhere underneath the pocket. Okay. I need to come back down here. You don't wanna look at me during this. Okay, does anybody need a break? We've only been going for an hour. We're doing good. Is everybody okay? Do you need to get up and step around or anything? No drinks? Maybe you guys have already been drinking this morning. I feel like I should have been. Okay, it doesn't really matter which side you put on which side, but this is how you do it. Remember that line that you have right there? And it's actually the same line that you just sewn on the other side. So it's well in there. I'm going to put this, line it up on the bottom of that line. I'm going to stitch across, then I'm going to fold this up, and I'm going to press it too. I'm going to fold that up, and I'm going to stitch my sides. I'm going to do that on both pockets. It doesn't matter which pocket goes on which side. It's going to matter in some of the next steps which pocket is on which side. But on this one, I'm simply going to line it up with that line down there, 1/4 inch stitch right along there, fold it up, and then I'm going to stitch my sides and my top. The reason I'm going to do my top on these is because I have a zipper in it. If you had the zipper in there and you didn't stitch the top down, then you're going to have a pocket there and a zipper that's not going to mean anything. Okay, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. So let's do one pocket at a time, and I'm going to pin this down. I know that none of you have the same problems that I have, but my fabric moves on me. It just kind of inches its way up sometimes. And there is a lot of fabric you're sewing through. So if you don't have that needle in, what, a new needle? That's a good one. If you don't have that new needle in now, you're going to have it. Hey, Stacy, are you actually watching? Because your picture is not on there. Stacy Van Monfrans. Okay. And if you chose to have your lining fabric as the outside, that's okay too. Okay, I'm going to press this. And there's really not a reason to press it any more than just maybe like give it an encouragement to go up, because it is so heavy. All right, I'm going to start stitching from the bottom down here. If I started from the top, I might end up with a buckle down here, and I don't want that. So I'm going to start stitching from one bottom edge, come up, go across the top. And I think I want to make sure in case my zippers, if there's any waves in my zippers at all. which sometimes can happen. I'm gonna pin this down so that it is right where I want it to be. So does Stacy answer? Is she there?
She says yes.
Oh, good. Hi, Stacy. All right, there's where I want it to be. While I stepped over there, my hand brushed my machine and it moved everything. So if that happens to you, pay attention, huh? I would have been sewing in the honeycomb stitch. And this I'm doing like in a scant quarter. I'm not doing a full quarter because I don't want any of this stitching to show. But when I get to the top, that stitching is going to show. And eyeball it to make sure that you've got a nice straight top. So if you're, sometimes when you sew past your zipper head, it will kind of warp the fabric just a little bit. I'm going to raise my needle up a little bit so I can get this zipper out of the way. Now, when I get to my hardware, my D-ring down here, I'm pretty close to it. So I don't want to go really fast because I'm going through a lot of fabric. And I don't want to accidentally hit that D-ring with my needle. That would be firework time. Okay. One pocket is on. I can open my zipper and there I've got my pocket right down there. That is good. I like that. Okay, next pocket. So first again, I'm going to line the bottom of my pocket up with that line that I drew. And I'm going to stitch along there, and I'm going to fold my pocket up, and I'll come back here and pin it down. What's your favorite color, Nicole?
Blue.
You said that so quickly. That's great. All right. Now, right up here, I am going to pin across the top. As I can see, I have a little wave in my zipper. Sometimes when you sew around your zipper or near your zipper, it leaves a little wave. So this is where I'm going to take that wave out. What's your favorite color? Red, white, blue. I'm a sucker.
If you said color.
You know, it's the combination. I have to have the combination. It's just, I don't even realize I like it. And
Yeah. We have to take the flag off my house this week because the wind's been so bad.
oh, that's not good.
It'll go back up. I just
Okay.
didn't want it to end up on the ground.
No, you don't want to put that up on the ground. Definitely not. I guess I loved red, white, blue even since I was a child, but didn't realize it. Okay, I'm going to double check all my needles and my foot right there to make sure that nothing's loose. It's kind of wiggly there for a minute. Okay, I'm going to just Put this down. And the reason I had so much already pre-done on this is because we're going to get to some parts that maybe are a little more challenging, not difficult, not hard, just a challenge that I wanted you to see how to do, because I knew that you knew how to put bindings on zippers and you can put the zipper in. I'll move that zipper out of the way. I go slow when I'm next to my hardware. I think this is where in my notes that I said to put that tab a ½ inch up or a ¼ inch up or something, because right there, that was really tight. And maybe the first time I was a little uncomfortable. Because it's right where you want to sew almost. Okay. We have so much done. We have so much done. Now comes the fun part. Okay, I've got my my pockets on the inside, got my pockets on the outside. Everything's done. All I have to do is put the ends on. Now this is where we kind of have to pay attention because she wants you to do it a certain way. Let's read what she says. Position I'm on page 6, number E. And it says position the tote body with the main fabric right side up with pocket A, the quilted fabric with the flip piece over the top on the right. So I marked the 1 inch horizontal lines. Actually, here I had it on the wrong, but I had that one in the right spot. Okay, so now we're going to put this on. And this is gonna, because it's almost counterintuitive, because normally you would put right sides together and sew it down right. But this time we're going to put wrong sides together so that we can bind this edge out here. So this is why it's done that way. So this fits nicely in between there, just like that. Make sure that, okay, we're good. All right, now if you like to use Wonder Clips, that's great. I'm not, on something like this, the Wonder Clips sometimes move on me. So I'm going to position that in there. I'm going to cut these off first. My zippers, I didn't cut those off. I love those. I can't, every time I pick up those scissors, I say, oh, I love these scissors. All right, so now this is going to be line up right there on that line. So if you want to put that one together and pin it, and this one up there, and I pin the center down there, I'm going to line this one up and pin it. And then I'm going to ease everything else in. You know what, Mary Jo, where are you? Where are you? You're not helping me much. You were supposed to watch me there. You didn't do it. Does that look better? You can't shout loud enough. Tana, are you not helping me either? Oh, you guys are funny. You guys really are. You just want to see me blow it and have to unpick it. I don't want to unpick it.
They want more time with you if you have to unpick it.
Oh, I really mean this is a 3-day bag. So when you're making yours, make sure you don't rush it. What's that?
Dana says 1 month, I think.
1 month, a 1 month bag?
Oh, 3 months.
Okay, it didn't even dawn on me. I was doing it wrong until okay, now I'm gonna look at the picture here and I wonder if I have put this on. I have to make sure I got this on right. Okay, according to mine over there, it's done right. Okay. It's gonna make a difference because I want to have this little guy right here on this side here. Because when my zipper comes out to the end, it's gonna drop down in there. So I double checked the picture on page 6 under instruction number 5 on the right-hand column. I want to make sure my picture is going to look the same as that. And I've got my band right here, which is going to make a difference how I put that zipper in. I've got my little flap right here, so I'm good. So it's just like this one. I've got my band right here and my little flap here, so I'm good. Is everybody gonna give me the heads up so I know I've done it right? Okay, now I am definitely going to pin this. Some people like to use wonder clips. To me, it's easier to use the wonder clips here, but it's not so easy to sew it. Does anybody have a good joke today? Did you bring a joke?
I never prepared for jokes.
I have so few jokes, and then I can't remember when I do them.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that tells a joke and people look at you like, yeah, are you gonna tell it? I'm like, I already did.
Or I forget the punchline, or I totally blow the punchline.
Give the punchline before you get the whole joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now down here, I want to make sure that I have got all the fabrics in there. I've got 4 layers of fabric plus the foam. I want to make sure all those layers are within that seam. And we're going to turn this out to make sure we've got it right before we ever go on.
Okay, you have a joke.
Who has a joke?
Sarah,
Sarah, I want to hear the joke.
what is the difference between Brussels sprouts and boogers?
Not a thing. What is the difference? Does anybody have guesses what the difference is? They're both green. Not all the time. I mean, I've had kids, right? I've had kids.
Children won't eat Brussels sprouts.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Now, the rule of thumb when you're sewing a curved edge to but you're going to be sewing both edges, so it really doesn't matter. But the rule of thumb is you always want to have the curved side against the bed of the machine. And she will tell you right there, I believe she even says, with the bed of the machine against, with the curve, with the end against the bed of the machine. And that's been the rule of thumb, but it's not always going to work that way because you're going to be sewing on both sides of this. So whatever is most comfortable for you, that's the way you need to do it.
Mary Jo says move your zipper pull.
Oh, thank you, Mary Jo. I don't have one on the other side that I have to worry about. Definitely. When we did the running with scissors, we had so many zippers in that we were watching out for those zipper pulls every time we turned around.
And while you're on that, is running with scissors more difficult or less difficult than this one?
Any more scissors? What? With zippers?
Running with scissors.
Oh,
Is
running
it
with
more
scissors.
difficult or less?
It's not more difficult than this one. I think if I were going to pick out the most hard by any bag would be the duffel bag. I'd have to say that's the hardest one because it's not hard because she gives you all the components you put together, but when you sew the binding around the inside, I've had people bring me their duffel bags and say, just finish the binding for me, just do that part. And you have to say a lot of fancy words, and then it works out. Okay, so this one I'm going to do just barely inside my 1/4 inch because once again, I'm going to put binding on, and this is the outside of the fabric and the bag, so you don't really want your stitches to show, but you got to make sure you catch everything in your stitch. So I'm going to just do just a 1 hair scan. And if I do have stitches that show, I'm just going to pick them out. I'm okay with that. Okay, now you're just going to manhandle this. Just make sure you can do it. We don't have any men in our back classes. How come?
Do you ever watch Friends?
Yes,
And Joey has
Seinfeld too. Okay, I'm going to be using my stiletto a lot from here on out because that is going to hold that fabric together. And really, if you don't have a by any stiletto, if there's nothing else that you ever purchase in your life, that's got to be one of them.
And an RFK.
Yeah, RMK tool too. All right, now I see some, I need to move my fabric around as I sew because I don't want puckers and gathers in the outside of my bag. Now, this stitch is really important because when you put your binding on, all you're going to do is bind this edges. You're not going to be moving the fabric, where right now you're moving that fabric. So did Seinfeld come before Friends, or did they play at the same time? Do you know? Because I don't. I think Friends came after. Not too long after, though. They're both in replays. Everywhere you go, you can see them both. See, if I had the Wonder Clips in here, I would be throwing them across the room right now because they would just be in my way. But they have their place. Let's see, this is not cooperating. So you really are trying to go around a curve with something that's straight. Oh, I need to slow my speed down so that when I step on the gas, I don't gun it. Because you're sewing through so much fabric that you don't want to do that. I'm back on the straight and narrow here. And my zipper head is out of the way. Okay, now's the time you take a deep breath. And now you're going to look on the inside, so turn it right side out. Make sure that you've caught all the layers of fabric. Sometimes that under layer, the one that you just didn't see, pokes out. So I look like I'm pretty good there. So I'm going to go on to the next part. All right, now we're not going to bind it yet. We are going to put the other side on. And if you guys don't want to bind yours, just zigzag around it. So this is good, right? Because really that's the hard part, I think. All right, so now I'm going to put this on correctly. You're going to watch me do it. I wish all you guys were right here with us. That'd be so much fun. We could have a day. We could tell more Brussels sprout strokes.
We wouldn't get any sewing done though.
I can't do retreats because I don't sew at a retreat. I just hang out.
I can't even sew with a movie.
Yeah, no. I always have music playing.
Yeah, music or a book I can do.
A book? Oh, I mean on tape, not reading it. Okay.
That would be really talented.
Yeah, you read a book while you're sewing? Come on, Nicole.
I'd end up in the ER, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, do you guys listen to music? Do you listen to movies, or what do you do while you sew? Oh, thank you, Alice. I need to get down to read that. You have to see the top of my head, I'm sorry. Okay, Seinfeld was 89 to 98. Really? And that would be the way to do it, Alice. But you know, you'd be giving up the fun part. I really wanted to put the top zipper in with you and put the bindings on. That's why we kind of just breezed through the other parts.
Renee watches TV and Sarah listens to podcasts.
Oh,
I tried listening to that serial one and got way too into it that I couldn't have sewn.
the serial killer one. I told you I can't read books.
It was disturbing.
Yeah. One Christmas, over the Christmas holiday, I read 3 books and they were like murder mysteries. And I really thought I killed somebody. I felt I had killed somebody. I thought, I can't read these books. I put myself into the book too much.
Stick to happy ones.
Okay, see right here, I feel that I'm gonna have a little bit of an issue there trying to keep that corner. I have my stiletto. I want to make sure all 4 layers are well encased in this seam. I'll be pulling these pins out as I go and probably readjusting with my stiletto. Okay, I'm going to do this one. No, I'm not. Just changed my mind. What?
Zipper pull again.
Oh, thank you. How did I get over there? Thank you, thank you. What would I do without you guys? Okay, now she suggests also to keep the curved part flat on the machine. So I'm going to do that. Mary Jo, had you come to the shop where I taught a class before? Or have we just always been online with you? I know that you've been in the shop a lot, but I don't know if we ever had a class together. Because if you weren't there, who kept me in line? We've got so much fabric here that it really just wants to go a different direction than you do. So you've probably got to manhandle it, push it in there, and really it's going to look great when you're done. Barb? Yes.
Suzette wants to know when you're matching the sides of their position, it must match on the top, front, and back.
Remember that 5/8 of an inch mark that we made at the top of the bag? I'll show you again when I come out of here, when I come out of the tunnel here. But we match the sides of the top of the sides against that mark. But I'll show you when I come out. Okay. One time doing this, I broke off my needle threader. Because it's right under there and there's a lot of crap I'm sewing through. Just squish it down, show it who's boss.
Take a stand.
Take a stand, definitely. Maybe that's why she named it that. Don't you wonder where they come up with all the names? Like running with scissors? Really? I mean, it's a cute name, but I wonder where that came from. Cute.
Like I thought you were always not supposed to be that.
Nah. And if there's ever a spot in here that you do miss, then you do have to go back and fix it. Because you don't want to have raw edges hanging out. Okay, so I'm going to turn this right side out and make sure I cut all the edges. If I didn't, I'm either going to go back and take a little bit bigger seam right there, or I am going to unpick it. And I don't like to unpick, so looks like they're all caught. That's good. All right, so someone asked about where the sides lined up. Is it? All right, so right here. Do you remember that mark that we made at the top here? That was 5/8 of an inch down and it was a 1 inch mark. That's where you're going to line up the top of the outside. The ends right here. That's where the top's going to line up. So each of the tops are going to line up there. Then you'll put a pin right in the middle down here and then you're going to ease everything else in. And the same goes for both sides. There's my marking 5/8 of an inch down and 1 inch across. Top of my end went right there. I wouldn't call it a pocket. It's not a pocket. And then right there. And now maybe now's a good time for me to iron out those markings that I have right there. Because I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Because I think I might need those marks. Okay, I'm going to take it back out. And now what I'm going to do is bind the edges. And then after that, all we have to do is put that zipper in. Okay, are you ready for the zipper? Take a deep breath, take a break, come back to it, watch it again. Just do that part and then come back to the zipper is really not hard. The bindings are actually the hardest part, I think. All right, because I am going to, I don't have to match any bindings, I don't have to sew anything together. I simply have to put the binding on. Let me see how she says to do it. She just says to bind the sides of the bag with the end against the bed of the machine again, align. Okay, she wants you to work from the bed of the machine again. All right, I think the reason being is because when you sew like this and you're putting the end against the bed of the machine, that means, no, that doesn't mean it that way. I think I'm going to do it the other way, because when I pull my binding to the other side, I want it to be on this side that I do my last stitching. So I'm going to go against her rules, okay? And I've got a seam right there. I'm going to cut that seam off. I think I have plenty to work with. Wouldn't that be sad if I didn't? Okay, I just don't want to be sewing it with that in there. Okay, I am going to put it right here. I'm going to line up my edges up there, and I'm going to put this binding around, and I'm going to go around like this. And that's how I'm going to do it. If you want to do it the other way, that's great. Just do it how really the easiest way for you to do it. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam, and then I'm going to pull this to the other side, and I'm going to top stitch it down. But we'll talk again before that. I'm just going to let this dangle on the floor while I work. Even though I pressed it so nicely and I rolled it up so nicely. Okay, 1/4 inch seam. Now remember, your needle's in the left-hand position, so you're going to have to know where your 1/4 inch seam is according to that left-hand position. And for me, it's almost all the way through to the other side. Make sure your zippers are out of the way, right? And one thing I found that was difficult when I was doing this is that I know that my bag is all connected. And I know that that's all together. The thing I had trouble with was making sure that my binding edges were even and both raw edges were caught in the seam. Because when you go to turn that, that's going to show a lot. If you have one edge that just was not caught in the seam, then that's something that you're going to have to go back and fix. So make sure that both edges are caught. And now I'm probably wishing I had the other side up, right? You guys just want to see me go through pain. I can see that. I won't get to sit and watch you guys sew this. I wish I could. Because I think the bindings are the hardest part. Because you're binding so much fabric and you're usually binding in circles, and just take it slow. And the hard part here is this is on the outside, so it is going to show. It's not like if you did the inside and had it, oh, it's just the inside, don't worry about it. It's kind of like sewing a boat. If you've ever had to sew a boat, I haven't, but I feel like I am. Is anybody feeling my pain at all? How are we doing, Nicole? Okay, so I can see that my binding wants to kind of roll up on the inside. I got to make sure it doesn't. So no matter what side you decide to sew first, you'll have to sew the other side too. So I guess it really doesn't matter too much. And I'm going to go clear off the top. On this side. Something just all of a sudden smells really good. Can you smell that? Not yet. It smells something. It smells good.
Somebody's having lunch.
It's not food. It's like the cologne. All right. The next thing I want to do is that I want to double check to make sure that I have cut all those edges. I think right there I need to go back and sew it in a little bit. I got a little far out right there. But I want to make sure that I have cut all the edges of the binding. That's the most important part. Okay, I'm going to go back over it just to make sure. And
like,
pardon?
It smells like the flatter. Is it not filtering?
No, no, it's not. Or I can see some places, I cut all my binding, so that was great, but I can see some places where I got a little close to the edge. So I'm just gonna go back over that and make sure that I get that a little bit better. Does smell good though, doesn't it?
It smells like flatter.
Huh, maybe somebody's just outside the door there.
And yes, flatter smells wonderful.
I like it too. Okay, I'm going to sew it this direction this time. And I'm just going to make sure that I have a good 1/4 inch in there. And remember, if you have any stitches that show, don't worry about it, because you're going to pull them out. Because that's really easy to do. And now we know why Vera Wang bags cost so much, don't we? They're a lot of work. I'm glad you can only see the machine and not my face. As I contort to get this all to sew together. Okay, if you get that to where you're happy with it, then all you have to do is pull the binding. Let me come back over here. All you're going to do is pull the binding over and stitch it down, and then that side is done, okay? And the only catch is I wouldn't say, okay, now you do that at home and you're, on your own time. But we have to have both bindings done in order to put the zipper in. So if you want, do you guys want to take a break while I finish up the bindings and work on it here? Because you're welcome to do that. Do we have to break the film though? Does that break it up into whatever? All right, now's a good time. If you need to go somewhere and do something, go ahead and do it. And I will put the bindings on both sides. And you can come back or you can sit there and smile and be so pretty. I love that. All right, I'm gonna come over here and put this binding on. All right, I have my binding all on. And I didn't mention that I like to use invisible thread in my bobbin when I put bindings on. So when I put it to the front, it doesn't show in the back. So I switched it out and did that. The last thing we're going to do, we are on page 6. All right, so this is where we're going to attach the zipper. And I just used my zipper by the foot, but I did exactly what she said. I marked at 1 inch and at 19 inches, and I marked across. And then she says to go ahead and stitch across that. So I did that, and then I cut my tape off. All right. Now this part is really not hard. It's just, let's do it together. Okay, I'm going to take my little label off my zipper binding. All right, with the zipper closed, we are now going to put the zipper tape. It says the zipper closed, slide the zipper all the way to the left with the wrong sides together, align the long edge of the zipper along the back, top raw edge of the back opposite the pocket. Okay, we need to make sure we get this in here right. Nope, I have it on that side. So we need our little flap on this side, okay? We're going to put that on that side because that's where it's going to. I'm going to double check what I've got over here. That's how I want it to be. I want to have my facing thing on the front. I want to have my little pocket on the side. And we are going to put the zipper, we're going to line it right up here. Oh, okay. Okay, now I'm going to, with the zipper closed, zipper slide all the way to the left and the wrong sides together, align the long edge of the zipper along the back, upper edge of the back, which we're doing. Position the zipper with this even with the left end, even with the left edge of the back. And it's right and extend beyond the back. So that's what's flipping around there. Double check to make sure the zipper ends extend on the back, on the end with the strap attached. And that's what we've got down here. So clip in place. And now we're going to open the zipper and move the slide all the way to the other end to get it out of the way for the next step. And now we're going to start, but remember, don't slide it off because you should have sewn across right back here and you should have sewn across right up here. We're actually going to unpick this part in just a minute, but we want to have it that way for right now. So now we're on step 3 on page 7. We're going to begin stitching 3/4 from the left open side, 3/4 from this end, and sew the zipper to the back with a 1/4 inch seam, stitching all the way to the right hand side, right like that. That's all we're going to do. We're going to start right here, 3/4 inch from there, all the way to here. And then we're going to come back and sew the other side on, but there's some fun things we're going to do with this edge right here. All right. So I'm going to be at the sewing machine, but you guys can hang out right over there for just a minute.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, we are back?
I stole Kyle's mouse from her computer.
Oh, boy, she's going to come back and say, what happened? So if you want to know where 3/4 inch is, then mark it. I've got mine marked right there. And I'm going to mark it on the other side. So we're doing about the same. And this is with that friction pin. All right, so I'm going to start stitching right here, and I'm going to sew all the way to here. Okay, with a 1/4 inch stitch. And when you get finished sewing this back, I tell you, your arms are gonna hurt. Because we worked hard doing this. Actually, take my pins out. I don't like them now. Because you have got to hold this back. So however you put that pleat in there, do the
Looks like we
same.
lost sound again.
Okay. Darn. Let me know when we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Okay. All right. I keep talking without making sound, right? All right. So right here, you want the zipper teeth to butt up right against that binding that we put around the side of the bag. So what I've done is I folded a little pleat. Remember, we didn't start stitching till 3/4 of an inch in. So that part wasn't stitched. So I folded the teeth up. I just bent it and I put a little pleat in there. And now I'm going to sew across that. Okay, and that's going to give us that nice, wonderful little edge that's not going to take that zipper right off the edge. You don't want that. All right, so I'm going to sew that part. I'm going to do the same to the other side of the zipper. All right, so that part is done. I can clip that off because now that's a nice even top. There we go. I just clipped off the top of the zipper because we don't need it there anymore because we're going to put binding along this. All right, with the other side, we're going to do the same thing. But this time it's going to be a little different because we're going to be sewing from this edge over. So I've got that marked. I'm not going to stitch right there, but I am going to put a pin in. And this side I'm probably going to pin because I don't want to have it shifting all the way down. Because I'm going to start at the other side. See, it's a lot easier than you guys thought it was going to be, isn't it? Won't it be nice when you get to replay, you don't have to sit and watch me sew all that stuff? Because you'll know what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to start right down here. I'm going to sew, I'm going to stop at 3/4 of an inch. So does the replay take about a day to get out, or does it go out sometimes the same day?
It can be a little bit longer if the class is longer, because it has to process.
Oh, okay.
So we usually say 2 business days.
But it gets out there pretty darn quick, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And And remember to stop at 3/4 of an inch. All right, now this is where I am once again going to fold my teeth up so that they butt up to the binding. So I've got my teeth folded up to butt up to the binding, and I'm going to see how I folded that pleat in. I'm going to do this one the same way. All you're doing is making that zipper take a turn. All right, and now I'm going to sew that off again. I'm so excited, we're almost done. I'm so glad you're so smart, Nicole. You know what you're doing out there. All right, now all I'm going to do now is just clip this part off that goes above my zipper line. I don't need that. All right, now you've created a zipper with a corner. I like that. And I'm going to go over to my iron. I just want to take those marks off there that I put on there, just in case they might show. I'm going to take all my little marks off. Because I don't need those anymore. All right, now to the good part. I have my zipper binding right here. All right, we are going to go down to number 7. She says to go ahead on number 6 to make sure that your zipper aligns up. And that looks pretty good. I'm ready to go. All right, bind the edges of the zipper, forming a handle on the left-hand side of the bag as shown. All right. So right here, this is our goal right here. We've got this thing that's going to be hanging out here, and this thing is going to be hanging out here. Okay, so we need to be able to put the binding. We're going to start back here on the zipper, go all the way around here, and apply it on the other side. So let's begin with that. We're going to be have the right side out. Let's see, how do I want to have this done? I'm going to be using my invisible thread again. Trying to decide how I want to do it. And you can do it any way you want. I'm trying to decide which side I want to sew to first. Because this one I'm going to kind of watch pretty careful because I want to be able to have okay, I am going to sew it. I'm still thinking this through because it doesn't really matter which side you put it on. It's just whether how you want it done. I think I'm going to sew mine, and she may tell us different, but this is how I'm going to put mine on. I'm going to sew it to the inside of the zipper, and then I'm going to bring it to the out to do my top stitching. But the thing is, when you get down to here, then we're going to talk again because we want about 6 inches of this to loop around here. And so it's going to be kind of weird. It's not going to come into total play until we start putting it the next stitch on where we fold it over. But we'll talk about that when we get to that point. Let's read what she says. Fold with right sides out, fold the zipper binding in half lengthwise. We already did that. Align the right edges and pin every 3 to 4 inches to secure. Sew the binding to the zipper, make a continuous binding across each side of the zipper, tape and around the end. Move the zipper slide to the middle of the bag with the front of the bag down and the zipper teeth right side up, beginning at the end of the zipper that extends beyond the bag. Align the raw edges of the binding with the side of the zipper. And we want about 6 inches to be right out here on the side. All right, let's go for it. This is going to be fun. Now, if you wanted to pin along here, you certainly can. And this is a part, if you don't want to have your zipper in the left-hand position, you don't have to. For me, it's easier because the zipper teeth are in my way if I don't. And no matter how you look at this, it's all going to be a little awkward. So just stick with it. And just make sure your binding edges line up so you don't have any that pop out on you. Okay, at this point, I'm going to measure. I want to have about 6 inches. Make sure that's what I get over here. Yes. It's so nice to have one you've already done that's already there so you can look at it. So I'm going to measure 6 inches. I'm going to put a pin in, and that's where I'm going to pick up my other side. So I'm going to continue sewing down there just as if I had something underneath it. It'll just give me a line to sew to when I come around again. And all I'm doing is sewing on the binding by itself. Okay, I'm to the point where I now want to pick it up on this side. So I'm sliding it under there. And if yours is 6.5, if yours is not exactly 6, that's okay too. All we're doing is putting it back on the zipper on the other side. And I have an extra long piece of zipper sitting out here, so I'll be able to cut some off. I always like more zipper than what I need. Come on, thing. There we go. I'm gonna move my zipper head out of the way. I'm stuck. Okay. Oh, boy. You guys are gonna be sore tonight. You are. All right, now all you have to do now is just fold that over and tack that down. And then it is finished, okay? What I'm gonna do over at my iron right now is I'm gonna fold that up and I'm gonna press it so that I don't have too much of an issue when I go back over there and try to fold this back over. I'm not guessing what I'm going to do. And you guys, we're almost done. We are almost done. So did Alice say it would take her 3 months to do this? Is that what she said?
Tina did.
Oh, was it? It was Tana that said it's going to take you 3 months. Come on, Tana. No, no, no. All right, that's all I have to do now. All I have to do is just put this down and iron it down. I mean, excuse me, stitch that down. Oh, Mary Jo said that she's got a way to do straps. So let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, Mary Jo. Will she be able to have sound?
I'm getting that.
Okay, hang on, Mary Jo. Nicole's working on it.
Can you hear me, Barb?
I would love to see.
One sec, Mary Jo, let me give her the headset.
Oh,
She wants.
is that going to work? Okay. Hey, Mary Jo, I'm here. Kind of.
Can you hear me now, Barb?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So what I do is take my clip
Uh-huh.
and I put right sides in, bring that over, and sew that down with your box.
Mhm.
Okay. You take your clip, this
Oh, so, okay.
right side up so that you have right sides all together
Uh-huh.
like that. So now you have it in a loop.
Okay.
You take your fabric through here,
Oh,
her
so you
straps
do
are
the
made.
top part.
down
Yes.
through there,
Okay.
and then put this one on this
Ah,
end.
so I did mine completely backwards than you, right?
Yeah, well, you kind of made it so that you're having to sew this
Uh-huh. Well, look at
with
you.
all of that wrapped around. Where I
Way
did
to
it.
go.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so
Perfect.
just put this on first and go up and down. Of course, I don't have any fabric on mine.
Nope, you don't, but that's okay. You don't even have to have fabric if you don't want.
Yeah. And then make sure you sew that, then put your hook on, run it back through.
Mary Jo,
Over
Nancy's asking you to show that again slowly.
Sorry. Okay, so I've just got my strip. I've got my slider,
Uh-huh.
okay, right side up. I put it through the bottom, up through the top. Okay, so far?
Mhm.
Okay. Am I going slow enough? Okay, then you're gonna sew your box right here on the back side. Then take your other end, take your hook right side up so that you have both things on up the upside. And it's just gonna slide over there. I'm going to take this end, so this is sewn, this is not. I'm going to take my unsewn end, take it through the bottom, over the bar, down, and now I've made a complete loop.
That was perfect, Mary Jo.
And then you just
That is.
right side up on this one and sew it down, and you have your completed loop.
That is perfect.
Okay.
Did everybody get that? Because I loved it.
Okay. Was that slow enough? Did I did I do it okay for you?
You did it great.
Okay.
As far as I could see.
Yeah. And then this just continues. You can just slide that really easy when you're done, you know.
Okay. Also, Mo Pfister has a tip for binding. So thank you, Mary Jo. Let's go to Mo.
Let me give a moment.
We're looking for you. Wave at us, Mo. There you are.
She's got to unmute herself.
Okay, unmute
I've done,
yourself. Mo.
okay, can you hear
Oh,
me?
you did.
There we
Yes.
go.
Okay, tell us.
Okay, so here's my tip about binding, and I love this, especially if we're gonna stitch in the ditch, because stitch in the ditch to catch your binding is always a
Uh-huh.
challenge.
It is.
So I hope you can see me. If you have your fabric and you've attached your binding, let's say you've sewn it down and you're ready to flip it over, you're just at that point where you're going to do the flip over. I use a product, it's made by, I think, Dritz. It's Wash Away Wonder Tape. And with the
Yep,
Wash
we
Away
have it.
Wonder Tape, I come to the side I'm going to turn the fabric onto, and I iron it down. I iron it down all the way. I don't cross my seam line because that's the line we're going to be stitching in the ditch and hopefully catching. And then when you bring it around, you can iron it in place and you don't have to pin. Because this wash away tape, you press it on, peel off the tape, the paper, and then iron your fabric down all in place. And then you don't have to do pins. So this little wheel of
I love that.
Wonder Tape, 10 yards. So it really will do everything and it washes
know.
away.
I love that
So
stuff. I use it
it'll
all the
always
time.
sit there. So there you go.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a tip they can share with us? Because I love your tips. If you do, speak up. Alice, did you have something? You kind of raised your hand.
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
I like to do my hand sewing for the binding. I just did it on my hexie mat.
Oh, yes.
So what I do is when I have a bobbin that's almost empty and you can't sew with it anymore and you
Uh-huh.
take it out and change it, I keep a bowl full of bobbins of empty, almost empty bobbins to use for my sewing, my hand sewing thread. And then I keep my snips in there and my needles, and I have everything to take to the my TV chair when I'm sitting and watching and sewing. But and I use just a very blind stitch in there, and you can't see any stitches. So I love these mats, by the way, Barb.
Good tip to share. Love that, Alice. Is there anybody else that has a tip? I love these tips. We learn something every day, don't we? All right, raise your hand. Nicole's
Wait,
gonna put the
Barb,
screen
by
to
the
Nicole
way,
and the kid.
By the way, you need to know how much we've enjoyed your classes.
Oh, thank you
And,
so much.
You know, I know you've been reading all the comments, and we
I have.
are just devastated that you're leaving, but good luck with whatever you're doing. Enjoy the rest of your retirement, and you're too young to retire. So
Well, yeah, for
consider
sure.
the Facebook.
I have
Please
to tell you,
consider Facebook classes.
one of my boys texted me last night and said they have a job that they have to go to Rome for. And would we like to come along? I said, you bet. So that's probably what we're going to do this summer. I think bouncing back and forth the way we've been doing right there. Maybe that's kind of the connections got a little bit lost. But yeah, it's going to be good. So I think, I don't know when you lost sound, but I started to say that 3 of my boys are filmmakers, and they just got a job that they have to travel to Rome for. And so they called last night and asked if we wanted to go along, and I would love to. So that's what we're going to do. In fact, about 4 years ago, they went to Japan. Never thought I'd go to Japan, but they called up and they said, we're going to Japan in 2 weeks. Can you come? And we did. I loved it. So I got my running shoes on. I'm going to be running a lot. And I hope that we do cross paths here and there. I think that would be so much fun. I'm going to be watching for you. I'm going to still be listening to you. And I'm going to be watching you. And I've loved watching you in these classes because just that big smile. Everybody's got that big smile. You're also happy. Maybe you're happy watching me do these classes because they're so painful sometimes. I think that's it for our class today. If you want to sew your binding by hand, that's great. I know that Alice likes to. I am not a hand sewer. It drives me crazy. I have to sew on a machine or I can't do it. So I'll leave you to it. And I guess we're done for today. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your sewing. You'll get the replay, I hope, quickly. And then you can go back and sew yours up. How do you do that, Mary Jo? I've never done that before. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.